Good morning. I'm Rodney Rogers, president here of Bowling Green State University, and it's absolutely my honor to serve in this role. You know, Bowling Green State University, we are a public university for the public good. And I absolutely love BGSU. I also love higher education. To me, the power of education is personal. So you see, I'm a sixth-generation Ohioan. I grew up in a small town here in Ohio, Kenton, Ohio. And if you haven't been to Kenton, we are proud to be the county seat of Hardin County. Its population is about 8,000 people. So it is, by all definitions, a small town in a rural community in the heart of the Midwest. My parents did not go to college. They worked hard, they saved, so my brother, my sister, and I could. I'm a first-generation college student, and trust me, I could never imagine the opportunities that I have had because of education. I've had the opportunity to live and work in all kinds of regions here in the US, as well as the world. That had broadened my perspective and certainly understanding, but the foundation was this education, higher education. You know, and as president, I've had an opportunity to meet incredible students, faculty, staff, business and community leaders, elected officials, and supporters who have shared their stories of success because of their education. I am inspired every day by those stories. And I certainly recognize that I have been incredibly fortunate, and I am humbled by that fortune. But I also know each of you in this room and that are listening to this TEDx, you have your own story of how education has transformed your life. And so my ask is just take a few seconds right now to think about how education has transformed your life. Keep that thought. So those of us who have the honor to work in the field of education, we absolutely have a responsibility to ensure that we are good stewards of the colleges and universities in which we serve and or lead, to make sure that people have continued access to higher education, especially public higher education. You know, and it's not always easy. In fact, there is a conversation happening right now about the relevancy and the value of higher ed. You know, some say it's not worth it. There are so many other options. You know, you don't really need a degree. Now, that may be true for some, and it's okay. But I would hate to imagine a society without higher education for all. And as this dialogue plays out from dinner tables to the legislative floors, I worry higher ed might lose this battle of perception unless it tells the rest of the story. You know, we focus a great deal on what we do for our students. We prepare them for great careers and for a meaningful life. That's why we're here, right? Sure. You know, it makes sense. You know, our country was built in part upon individual rights. The Bill of Rights of the US Constitution starts with individual rights, the amendments, the Bill of Rights. Often, when people think of universities, they focus solely on that individual good, the private good, if you will. And when we award a degree at universities, it absolutely belongs to the graduate. It is an individual good, and it will benefit them in their jobs they get, in the salaries they earn. That has the value to the individual, a private good. And that is absolutely important. But perhaps we, the universities, have missed talking about the rest of what we do, the public good of higher education. how and why higher education matters to everyone. That private good, the degree we award, becomes something much greater when our students go into the world. They start and grow businesses. They build, they teach, they treat, they advance our collective knowledge. They create, they innovate, they advance the human condition. They create public good. And higher education has always been a part of moving our communities and society forward. So take BGSU for an example. In the early 1900s, we started as a normal school. That's what we were called. Our mission was to educate future K through 12 teachers for Northwest Ohio, building the foundation of education. Sure, we could have continued to train teachers to simply teach, but our country and the world evolved. It changed. We learned more, and we understood we had a greater responsibility. So we invested in new education, research, and creative activities to broaden perspectives, to think critically and grow as individuals and as a community. And while today, the economic impact of BGSU has been calculated to be over $3.1 billion, we know that the full impact of education is hard to quantify. Our country's founders and leaders knew that education was critical for our economy, for our society, and for our democracy to evolve and thrive. John Adams famously said, "Liberty cannot be preserved without a general knowledge among the people." Serving people is critical to higher education's DNA, yet we haven't always talked about that. Higher education is everywhere, touching lives in ways we as individuals don't always realize through the public good. Our academic programs are building workforces of tomorrow, creating an economy that impacts each of us, from advances in our technologies to our communication tools to our transportation systems. After all, this is our collective economy. It has been created by the work of each of us. Certainly there is individual gains, jobs and careers, but it is also a public good. It isn't either or, it is absolutely both. Faculty researchers are leading discovery around our most pressing topics, from the quality of the water to the air we drink. Well, that would be the air we breathe. And to advances in our healthcare and our medical treatments, and improving the very structure of our homes and technologies we use daily. Faculty are also advancing our understanding of our society through their creative activities. It all has immeasurable impact. And so often, those items fly under the radar. And while individual discovery is exciting, it is the collective good, the public good, that moves us forward. Our story, the story of higher education, must balance the responsibilities we have to individuals, our students, with the collective needs we have as a high-functioning society. There are short-term needs, certainly. We must empower students to find joy and meaning in their college experience. But long-term public good is really about ensuring the next generation of leaders, to make sure they are creative, ethical, hardworking, and dedicated to making our country and the world what it could be. Higher education allows us to compete globally, advances our knowledge and technology. It allows us to think creatively in growing our perspective and lived experiences, and hopefully makes our country and the world a more just place. It creates pathways that may not have otherwise existed, something I know firsthand. You know, this is not new for higher education. Colleges and universities have been doing this every day. We just haven't always told the entire story. And it's one the public needs to hear to ensure higher education, public higher education, remains available to all. That is the ultimate public good. Thank you.